I think Yunus Musah is going to benefit from being with Conceicao. I think the way Yunus Musah plays is more suited to what Conceicao wants to do than it was to what Fonseca was trying to do. The level that he's playing at right now. And by the way, he doesn't even look fit right now. I don't know if you saw it. There were a couple of moments where he had his hands on his knees, and he's not that guy, like your hands on your knees, breathing out of your nipples. And he's been that guy for like 20 minutes in that game yesterday. And I'm like, holy cow, I don't know if he's going to make it. And he just keeps fighting through. So good on him. Maybe they have to, I think there's 3 episodes. Maybe they'll have to add yesterday's accomplishment to the last episode. Maybe that's what they're waiting for to put it out. But it's a big moment for him. The guy's now won a trophy at every one of his clubs. Put this trophy wherever you want to put it, right? Everyone will say, it means a lot. It doesn't mean a lot. It probably means more to the 4 teams that the 4 teams that were in the tournament than it does to the 16 teams that are not in the tournament. But if you watch that game, if you watch that semifinal post-match celebration and what it meant to that Milan team, and then yesterday, the derby match, lifting a trophy, manager second game when things aren't going well and you're starting to change your system. By the way, they didn't play well during the game, but they fought their asses off during the game and grew back into the game. And I think that's probably the best position for a manager to be in, where you can go, okay, look what we did. We won something. We didn't even play well. Yeah. We weren't good, especially the first 45 minutes in both of those games. They were outplayed by Juve and they were outplayed by Inter, but you fought your way in. So if you can think about, we've been in dressing rooms, right? Like what that means, like you look around sometimes, you're like, tonight's going to have to be one of those nights we just battle because we don't have all our guys or whatever the reason is. Man, that's a good position to be in. But the credit to Christian Pulisic, he came right back into the lineup. Yunus Musah gets a start yesterday after, okay, is it a fortunate goal? Probably. Was he a guy that was a protagonist on that goal? There's no doubt about it. He came in. He was really good against Juve. That's 2 really good performances from those guys. Really, really good.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the trophy cabinet of Christian Pulisic because, as you mentioned, every club that he's been at, he's won something of consequence. In Dortmund, he won the DFB Pokal in the 2016-2017 season. Chelsea, he won the Champions League in 2021. He scored in the semifinal on their way to that trophy against Real Madrid. He won the UEFA Supercoppa in 2021. He won the FIFA Club World Cup in 2021. And now with Milan, he's won the Italian Supercup and was a pivotal player in making that happen, scoring a goal on both legs. And actually, what I love, maybe even more than his goal was so well taken. I don't want to take anything away from that, Big Tones. But what I really appreciated was his assist. Or the second assist, ultimately, the ball that got played.
Oh, to Leao.
Oh,
yeah.
Just having the vision and the understanding, and maybe more than that, and I think this will be important for their new manager, Sérgio Conceição, is the relationship between Leao and Pulisic. If Milan's going to go anywhere this season, if they're going to make sure they get into the top 4 and get into the Champions League or whatever it may be, there has to be a nice relationship between those two. And so Leao makes a great run, good time run while Christian's looking up. Christian plays a great weighted pass. Leao taps it across. Tammy Abraham taps it in, and then that's the game winner. I love that. And so
wasn't that ball left-footed too, Jimmy? Wasn't that a left-footed?
Picked it up off of his shoulder, looked to play forward, right? When we're coaching and we're teaching the kids or any of the players that are around for, like how quickly can you look forward? How quickly can you hurt a team by looking into those pockets of space that are in front of you and not just always playing safe because you're afraid to make a mistake. I love where Pulisic is. I love his confidence right now. And I want Yunus Musah to borrow some of it too so he can continue to be in the starting lineup and get good experience as well. But let's talk about Sérgio Conceição. As our resident Milan fan, as you mentioned, not so great in the first halves, but I think what he's implemented in a short period of time is that he made adjustments that made a difference in the second half. Right. And so, yeah, of course, we could sit here and talk about players and the work rate. Right. For me, work rate is just a choice. You have a choice to work hard, to cover for each other, to do the little things. That's a choice. Now you can have a manager that's emphasizing that, and that's how you're going to be evaluated and judged. I'm sure that's part of Sérgio Conceição. I have no doubt. But he made some tactical adjustments as well. And when they worked, that's where you're going to get even bigger buy-in from the group. And so I wanted you to maybe touch upon Conceicao, not only laying the foundation of having this trophy to lean on in tough moments, but also just having that tactical acumen to solve problems.
Yeah, well, the first thing he said it in his press conference. He said, "I'm not about ticky-tacky football. That doesn't mean anything to me. I need to be effective, and whatever that is for my team." He said, "But we're going to work." Yesterday, in the first 10 minutes, if you watch that game, they sat back and between their center backs and Morata, the forward, there were 20 to 25 yards. Where they started to have problems is when they started to go up high and press a little bit, and all of a sudden Inter picked them apart. And he stuck with it for a little while. Then he got away from it a little bit in that second half, and it was sit back. I think this is a counterattacking team, the same way his Porto teams played, and I think that's where they will be the most successful. I also think if you're going to turn it back to an American standpoint, the work rate that he expects in the midfield and in wide areas, I think Yunus Musah is going to benefit from being with Conceicao. I think the way Yunus Musah plays is more suited to what Conceicao wants to do than it was to what Fonseca was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times have we said, like, in moments where Musah's picked up the ball and like spun somebody and dribbled like 15, 20 yards before he releases it, right? Running into space, getting on a counterattack someplace. I think we're gonna see. But the fact that he, after the performance that Musah put in, I don't know how many minutes he played, I forget, against Juve, but he came in as a sub. And of course, he's involved in the second goal. But the fact that he started him, Jimmy, in a final on, let's call it day 2, right, for Conceicao, don't you think that means something?
Yeah, it does, 100%. Yeah, that means a lot. You clearly identified the player profile of Yunus Musah and thought, okay, what didn't work against Juve, I think that this player and what he brings, his skill set, can give us an advantage in some capacity, right, on either side of the ball. So, yes, getting that type of trust in a final against one of your biggest rivals, and it works. I mean, yes, they were down 2-0 and they got punched in the face a few times, but they figured out a way to turn it around. And for Yunus to be a part of that, imagine from a U.S. men's national team perspective, he was on the outside looking in. He was part of the team, but wasn't actually on the field. That would have been harder for him, I think, to earn that trust. But since he was one of the players that helped turn it around, I think that's going to go a long way with Sérgio Conceição in particular. So there's a report now, Big Tones, that's coming out that Milan might be considering bringing in Marcus Rashford from Manchester United, who clearly looks like he needs a change of scenery. Given what you've seen from Rashford, let's say historically, because we know the guy's got the goods. He's a hell of a player, but he needs to be locked in a certain way to reach the heights that we know he's capable of. And right now he's not hitting those heights, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. Would you entertain the possibility of bringing in Marcus Rashford to Milan and potentially interrupting the flow of what's being established?
No, I would not. Especially what I saw yesterday. And we talked about this in the post-game show yesterday. There was a moment before Rafa Leao came on the field when Conceicao was giving Leao instructions. He was engaged. If you go back to Fonseca, remember the time when he and Theo got benched, Theo Hernandez got benched, and when they had the break and everyone came, they stood on the other side of the field and were drinking water. They didn't come into the huddle. He was not engaged at that time. And then when I saw him, first off, his plays, the pass to Theo on Pulisic's goal, the one that sprung, the one when he turned the corner, and who was it, Reinders, that hit the ball into Bastoni, that you thought it was a goal when he cut it back, but Bastoni makes the sliding tackle, and it goes either off the bar or over the bar. Those moments, we're watching Leao, and then he loses the ball. He turns around. Bisek is going, and he chases him down and pulls his hair. Like, I'm not condoning pulling the hair, but the fact that he actually worked to do that, I'm like, maybe this is the Portuguese manager he needed to get on his side, right? I don't think I think Leao was from Sporting and Conceição's from Porto, so they don't have that connection. But maybe this is the guy that can get the best out of Leao. If you can get Leao back to, let's call it 90% of Scudetto winning year form, even 80% of that, there's no way you bring in Marcus Rashford. There's no way for me. Where would he play in this Milan side? The only other place he could play is if he took Christian Pulisic's spot, if he decided to play him on the right-hand side. And I just don't think you need him in the group. I think Marcus Rashford can go and turn his career around someplace, and probably will, because he's that talented. It's clearly not going to happen at Manchester United. But I don't, if you're asking me, does he fit in Milan and would I want him? No, it's because I like, if they can get Leao where he's at, I like where it's at right now.